Coalesce podcast. My name is Grant.
And I'm Meg.
And today we are going to take a look at doing some security things with some services. And I guess that's what I'm terming structural security. And when you think about security, there's all the stuff we talked about last time, which are all the attributes, things like that, which is a great way to secure your app. Another way to do it is actually by creating structures in your code. And when I say structures, it's really like API endpoints, effectively, that allow the user to have access to certain things and not to other things. And so what this essentially allows you to do, and you can, again, there isn't necessarily one right way to do this. We're just kind of showing you a way. But what we want to do is we want to create a public endpoint that will allow us to get the question and the answers, and then to be able to submit back an answer ID to see if it's right, and just return a bool. And so we don't ever really expose publicly the answer, right? So you actually have to guess it in order to get the answer, and it'll tell you if it's right or not. No, exactly. Is that exactly the right thing to do for a trivia app? I don't know, but we want to show kind of how to do this. Now, we can actually do most of this by using attributes, right? But it can be a little bit confusing if you have too much stuff going on. In this case, it would probably be fine to do that. But we just wanted to show you how to build one of those and really make a public endpoint. And so this would allow us to have kind of an admin backend that uses all the other pieces, the regular generated code, and then have this really public-facing endpoint, this one that's essentially with an allow anonymous on it, that would allow you to see all the things. And so maybe there's like one set of, in a lot of cases, you just think about like your security kind of envelopes. One would be your really public things, which are truly public. The other ones which require no login. Then you have kind of the login stuff, which you could maybe like update questions and things like that. And then you really have the admin side, which would allow you to maybe update all the questions, where if you're just logged in, you can only update the questions that you create. So that would be kind of a typical kind of security posture. And all of that is possible doing things with the security attributes. But in some cases, it's really nice to just make a public endpoint so you don't have to worry about making sure it's you got that just exactly right. So anyway, so Meg, let's go ahead and dive in. So what we're going to do is we'll create a service that is kind of our public question endpoint service. And then from there, we can return the question and some answers in a little object structure. So one way we could do this is you could actually secure the question by just making that read only by admin. And so then people couldn't see that. Just on the regular, just putting the attribute on it. So that would also kind of solve this problem. You do it that way. There's also a DTOs piece that we could do that would also kind of give you something like that. But what we're going to do is we're going to work on a random question and take that and make it a public endpoint instead of an endpoint that requires auth.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and head over to our backend. We'll stop our app because we're going to work over here for a little while. And we can go to our services. And if you guys remember, we do have this question service that has the get random question. Now,
seems like a good place to start.
Yeah, we can kind of build off of this service. Now, if we remember, this is, we did make this allow all. So anybody can get.
Okay, so it's already published, so you can already see it.
I don't even remember we did on Monday. Okay. So anybody can get this random question. So we can kind of just build off of this. So this is returning almost everything that we need, except we probably don't want to return this correct answer. So this is where we want to remove our correct answer, and we're going to make another endpoint for guessing that correct answer.
What's going to happen, though, is this is going to break the existing one that we have, which is okay. We can just have it. We're going to have to recode that on the front end.
Yeah, so the question is, do we copy this? And
do we make another endpoint? We can.
I'm kind of okay with breaking it.
Okay, let's break it.
We already have the UI,
awesome.
So we might as well work off of it.
And the UI will still work. It's just going to work a little bit differently, and we're not going to show the correct answer. It'll just be a slightly different experience.
Mm-hmm. So what we're going to do is we're going to do public, and then I think we're just going to return a bool.
It's going to return a bool, right? Yeah.
Bool, and then it's probably guess answer. And this is just going to tell you true or false if you get it right or wrong. So in here, we're going to need some kind of identification. So I think all we need is the answer ID.
Right, the answer ID is it's unique for all the answers, and we prevent you from linking an answer to a different question and all that kind of stuff. We went through that.
And this answer ID is a string, just making sure I remember what that was. So that will take in that answer ID. And now, before we go any further, we should add this to our interface really quick. And we should also allow anybody to execute this, right? Because this is public. Okay. And then in here, what we're going to do is, so we have our DB context injected to our class. We're going to do DB answers where answer ID equals the one that we're looking up. And then we're going to include our question, which There we go. And then we're just get the first thing here. And we should be able to use first here because hopefully you're not passing an answer ID that doesn't exist. If you are, then maybe you kind of deserve that exception. Means you're probably not using our UI. Okay.
And we just check to see if and so there's a number of ways to do this, right? We could have gone after answers or gone after questions where any of the answers is equal to that ID.
Yeah, maybe that's what we should have done.
I mean, that's fine. I mean, this works too. I mean, there's a lot of different ways to kind of go at it from a SQL point of view. In this way, we're grabbing one answer, right?
Yeah.
We're giving one answer with the parent question. That totally works. So
yeah, I mean, this kind of makes sense because then I'd also have to include the correct answer. So maybe what I should have done here is actually have should have done questions where the correct answer ID equals answer.
we're just going right, yeah, because really that's all we have to check, right? And all we have to do is really we can just return whether that exists.
Yeah.
Is there a question with the correct answer of this?
Yeah, because now this can definitely be null, right? Because this could possibly not exist.
Right, but we can just put an any in there.
Yeah, right? We straight return it. Yeah.
Yeah, just replace that with an any, and so you just gotta. And okay, the other thing is, I think this is just an interesting kind of a programming thing that don't be afraid to write more verbose stuff so you can understand it, and then let it simplify as you go. Because I don't know if I could have written this right out of the gate.
I definitely couldn't have written this while talking right out.
Right. Yeah. And that's totally okay. So just write it the easy way first, make it work, and then start optimizing. And I think that's a way better way to work on it than trying to build this kind of hyper optimized thing. And honestly, when I'm doing these link queries, I oftentimes don't like to return things directly because it makes it really hard to debug. If I have to go through there, I'll oftentimes write them as a couple of steps. And then if I have to at the very end, once all my unit tests pass, I'll sometimes collapse them into kind of that single one. So
yeah, because here it's kind of hard to see what that actually is returning. Debugging.
Right, you can actually replace the where with the any. So you maybe have to call the any at the end. But yeah, anyway, that's fine either way. So okay, great. So that's our point. So let's actually return something different. So rather than the question itself, let's return, because we technically only have to return the question text and then an array of answer IDs and the answer text, right?
Yeah.
That's all we actually have. So if we were going to try to kind of minimize payload, this would be a way to do that. So we would have to create another object that we want to return.
Yep. So instead of this question object here, which contains some extra information, it doesn't contain too much extra information, but if it did, we need to return all of it.
It's like we may make like a public question DTO or something like that.
We might not even need this category return because it's
right. We don't need the category. Yeah, if we're just not caring about that.
So let's go ahead and we can do this maybe under a DTO folder.
Yeah, let's go ahead and build a DTO folder. That's cool. Yeah, sometimes like and again, there's two classes here, so it's a little bit weird. And especially when the classes you never use them in isolation, they're always used together. Yeah, but I think in this case, I wouldn't put it in that particular class or put it even in the same file. I would go ahead and use the DTOs.
Yeah. So here's this guy. And
let's make it a public question DTO because I think we may want to have a question DTO that we use later if we want to build something out with some DTOs. So
the recommendation here is this is our public one that we typically use for like the allow all access. Okay, so in here, we probably want to still include that question ID.
Yeah, we don't technically need it, but I mean, totally. Let's go ahead and throw it on there because it's probably a wise idea.
It's just handy for identifying things, and I feel like I always end up needing it.
Totally. Now, these names don't have to be the same. We can name them actually different things, but it's nice to kind of keep it the same.
It makes more sense. Okay, and then I've already forgotten what this looks like.
And it's an array. We can literally just return an array or a collection or whatever we want. An IEnumerable is, I guess, technically all we need.
Let's make some of these required because we do actually.
But what I'm thinking is that we do this, but then let's actually have a constructor.
Oh yeah, we can make a constructor for the
question, right?
Yeah.
So then we can just construct it. It makes it really easy just to throw that information back.
And that will do that mapping for us.
Then we just do the mapping in the constructor. Because that's really the only time we ever have to do this because we're never receiving this back in. So you have to be a little bit careful. Some of your DTOs are going to be bidirectional. In this case, this is only an outbound DTO. And so we really only ever need to be able to construct it from the server side.
Yeah. So now with our answers, we actually probably want that answer ID. So we can either return back this full answer or we're going to make another.
Let's make an answer DTO. I think, and in this case, you can either put it in the same class or not. I mean, public answer DTO is probably fine.
Yeah, this is a little bit of preference.
Some people say only one class per file. Mostly I'm that way, I guess, like 90% of the time, but every once in a while when I have a class that I will never use, not in conjunction with the other class, and it's very small, I will put it in the same file. But
this one is like, I'm on the fence. I could possibly use it somewhere else. But
yeah, you could. It's
we're
possible.
really not.
Like,
I'm
kind
kind of coding for the future, which usually isn't good to do, but
not it is.
But
so we're answer ID, and then we just throw text on there, and
okay, and then we can also put a constructor on this guy too.
Yeah.
So let's use this guy over here. Oh, I did.
We already did. That's great.
I don't remember doing that, but okay.
Answers.
So,
do you want to make that? Oh, yeah, we can just do that. The I collection will be fine. We could also make it an IEnumerable, but it makes it a little bit harder to deal with. So
yeah. Okay.
Is it good?
Public question DTO. Okay, and this is going to take in that question. And now we can
start mapping fields.
Question ID. Come on, you can do the last one. All right, it's not going to do it. So this one, let's see, if it's null, then we'll just default to an empty array.
So then we have to map that with the select, right?
Yeah.
So
Oh, right, because we're doing public answers.
So answers.
I already forgot.
Yeah. So we can select from the question and answers dot select into. Yeah, new question, new public answer DTO, and we hand in the X in there, right?
Yeah, we're just gonna make a constructor over there. That's probably a good idea that we were.
Yeah, I think it's easiest to do that.
And then we could have
done the other way.
Name this a little bit nicer. All right, now over here, make ourselves a constructor.
We're kind of following one pattern as far as building constructor data and things like that. There are some other ways to do it. I think there's some things that are nice about this. It kind of keeps all your mapping logic with DTO, which I really like.
Yeah.
And that's the reason to not do it as after the new in kind of where you view the curly braces and do your parameters and set your parameters there. So this is just a tiny bit easier. So okay, all good. Still getting some errors.
Thinking. Look, answer DTO.
What is it complaining about?
Must be set. Oh, it's because I've done this.
Yeah, you can just because those are required because they're string.
Yeah, because we made a constructor, so now we don't need that because I could set in the constructor. All right, now what are you mad about?
I don't know.
Maybe we should make this. Yeah. Let's just make this an IEnumerable.
There you go. I wasn't sure you were going to set it. So depending on what you're doing, and you don't even need to initialize it, right? Because we're going to initialize it in the constructor. So that's kind of a redundant piece there. Okay, I think we're all good.
Yes, I think so. It wants us to use a primary constructor, but we're not going to do that. I think this is more clear.
Yeah, and there is sometimes it does prompt you for those kinds of things, like using primary constructor. It's like, hey, just sometimes it's nice just to have it a little more verbose. Again, people are familiar, and as you roll out new features, using right away is not always a great idea, but a lot of times, yeah, everybody will eventually kind of get there. So great. Do we have to do anything else because our service is using the interface, we don't have to label it with Coalesce.
Nope, because we did that right over here, and we added that execute allow to our new function. So the only thing that we do have to do is run Coalesce to get this to work on the front end. So let's come over here, run that guy, and you'll see a whole bunch of stuff generate.
And this is going to break our app.
It will break our app. Yes, this is a breaking change.
So
we gotta go fix our stuff.
But we should be able to pull it up and at least look at some things. We can look at the security piece and just take a look at that. And we could probably fix the front end of the app. We'll see. I'm not sure how long that'll take, but
not too bad.
Potentially look at it.
Alrighty. So you can see here we've generated our guess answer. And we've got our all our
Nice.
stuff.
See all those things.
Yep.
They're in TypeScript.
So.
Okay, so now if we go to the TypeScript, it actually should show us some issues, right? If you pull up the front end.
Yep, it should. We got to go find where our random answer is. Ignore this. I just have.
It's just a little.
This is a new computer, so I haven't done a bunch of stuff on it. All right, this is, where are we?
We have to go into SRP, yeah.
Components, and I think we put this, or maybe we put it right on the actual page.
You might have put it on the page. I'll have to go look.
Okay, here it is, random question. So random question, and this passes into our question card, but the question card isn't going to work anymore because that uses.
It uses the other set of objects. So we tried to like reuse things, right? Mm-hmm. So unfortunately, we'll have to build a new little thing to do that.
Yeah. So instead of using our,
and this is really an advantage to not doing it this way, is that you can reuse things across multiple, just by using a service that returns your base object. It makes it significantly easier.
Yes, and we can refactor this with slots and with a couple more components so that our question card is reusable, but I don't think it's worth doing that in this.
Right.
It's going to be a little bit of work.
So if we just we can just take the question card. We can have a public question card. Why don't we just do that? Just duplicate it, make a public question card.
And again, the best way to do this is probably to think about maybe reworking this. There's some cases where you just want to duplicate the component because they're close, but they're different enough that it's not worth it. But yeah, let's just do this. And question card, we can literally copy this and then edit it. And now this can be public question card. And then that's our random question. So now this guy, he's going to take in this question, but it's going to be a question. It's going to be public
question DTO.
We did return a public question DTO, right? Or did we not do that? Oh, we never did that. Let's just do that.
Yeah, we should. Oh, whoa. I totally forgot.
I think we meant to do that, but then we wrote the DTO and then never came back. All right.
Oh, we just changed the wrong one. That's the question service.
What did I change? Get random question.
But that's on the... Oh, yeah, we changed the whole... Yeah, sorry, we changed the whole thing. Sorry. I got it. Totally messed you up.
All right. And then question service here is going to return a public question DTO. Yeah. Adding missing. Okay, that did it.
Yeah, we have to change a couple more things. We didn't quite get that 100% right.
Yes. Okay. So now.
And we just have to select that into.
We can just do. The name this nicely.
Yeah. So new public question DTO, right?
Yep. And then question. Oh, that's so nice. Now you don't have to do any mapping here. And then I think we just need a first.
The first one.
Okay.
There's some other ways to do that, but we're good. That works out.
We do have to redo Coalesce just because we changed this signature.
And what was cool is that because of the type checking in the front end, we found the error. Mm-hmm. Right. We just forgot to do this little piece here.
All right, that regen. Now if we come over here, there we go. So public question DTO. Why is that not appearing?
And you may need to include that.
No, you know what's wrong is it never generated. That's funny. So when I was looking at this, it did generate public question DTO. I was like, oh, maybe we had the market as Coalesce, but it did generate. Why don't I see it? Public question.
If you do a control period on that, will it include the correct?
It should do it when you're typing.
Yeah, it usually does.
Well, there you go. I don't know. It usually does do that. Maybe because I already had the models that it didn't want to do that. Okay. Anyways, I don't know why I did not auto include, but yeah, control period also works.
Great.
I think I have a plugin specifically to map key bindings from Visual Studio to VS Code. So if it's not control period, just Google whatever that is because it's control period.
It's typically control period just in regular VS Code.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
That's where it is on mine, and I don't have a map.
Great. Okay. So down here we don't have a correct answer anymore. So this whole thing is going to kind of have to change a little bit, and we're not even going to do answer color anymore. Because we're just going to return yes or no.
We're just going to say, hey, it's right or it's wrong.
Yep.
It works a completely different way.
So we're actually just going to delete this. And let's see. So select answer. I guess we can keep that.
Select answer, right. We still need some code to do that.
answer color. We're gonna kind of replace that a little
We'll
bit.
maybe we'll just display a little box that says you're right or you're wrong.
Yeah, I think
Like
so.
just for really simple stuff. And then we can just call the endpoint with the answer they selected. And we'll just just pop a box up and say it's right or it's wrong.
That guy. This guy needs to be a public answer DTO. Okay, so that's happier. We don't have a category anymore, so we're just going to get rid of this because we're not going to show category on the random question. You can obviously include your category, but we just didn't. Okay, so this should now work. I mean, it won't tell you if it's correct or not, but it should run. It just won't do anything.
And the nice thing is to get your code started as quickly as you can, you kind of get rid of all your errors, and then you can start debugging on the front end while the application's running. And we could have returned the category. This is an interesting case of flattening your space. And so the category could just be displayed as the category name and not actually include categories. Like you could
have just put it like a text category.
Yeah, just a text field in there. So it's really flattening that object model, making it simpler because it's not always the right thing to return the complete object model to the child or to the client.
Yeah. And I mean, it's kind of up to what you guys want to do here. Okay, this obviously doesn't work. So
it's working fine based on what you have. It's perfect. But now we just have to, when you click on it, we just need to go in and
yes, we also have to remove this question editor because I don't think
I guess it technically works.
It does work because this
opens up the
question.
That's not the goal. It's not
yeah. So let's just move that because we don't need to be doing editing on the random question.
Yep.
Okay, we're just gonna make it very simple. There we go.
Boom.
So now what we want to do is when we click this selected answer, we are going to want to move this over here.
And we don't even need to select the answer, right? We don't even need to know which one they selected. We can just like take all that stuff out.
That's true. We just need the click with the answer.
We just need the click of that.
We're going to have to change this to get answer. I'm going to get rid of this. It's very simple now.
Yep.
But it's not as cool UI wise.
I know the UI is quite nice, but that's okay. I mean, this is a simple thing.
Okay, so now what we need to get is that service.
So let's hand in the public answer DTO to that method, right?
Yeah, so we can either hand it in or we can create a new one. There's also some injecting and providing that we can do, but I think that's probably a little advanced for this. So we can either make a new one or we can pass this in, but why don't we just pass it in?
Great.
Okay, so there's that. That's the type that we want.
Yeah, so there are some ways to do essentially dependency injection inside of Vue. In this case, we're just going to hand it in, and we could have created another service. There's really no reason why we couldn't have just had our own service here.
Yeah, there's no state dependency, so we don't really need to pass it in. But
right. If there were,
we're just showing you things, I guess. I don't know. Okay, guess answer, and then this guy takes in that answer, so it takes in a answer public.
DTO.
Oh, wait, public. Oh, you're messing me up, great.
Yeah, public DTO. Yeah.
One of those.
Watch out.
Things.
Sometimes they give you bad advice.
Okay, so now we're just gonna say.
We await that little guy. We should be able to get a bool back, right?
Yes, and let's put a bool up here of const. I guess is correct equals ref.
Be a ref of the bool.
And
if all we're going to do is literally just set, if we're just going to pop a box, well, we can do a number of different things. So we can show. This will allow us to do it. In other words, it gives us some options here.
Yeah,
so you have to add the async because of your weight, so you just have to do that for the function. And in this case, it does allow us to say is correct. We can just put an X up there or is. Yeah. Well, the problem is we actually need this to be nullable, right? Because this is where it gets into actually a tri-state. So this is null or bool.
Because we want to show it every time that you can do that guess.
So then if we're going to show a little marker somehow, it's right or wrong.
And we actually want to reset this to null. That way, if we guess wrong again, you get that wrong.
Yeah, right.
Dialog coming up. And that's value. Okay. Now, up here, where do I want to do this actually?
And we could just even show just a check or an X. Make it really simple.
Yeah, let's just show like a little chip.
Or just maybe. Even a chip right there, right or wrong.
Just right up here. we don't need all this anymore because we're not doing any of that. Okay, and then let's just put it over here, I guess. I don't know. This isn't really a very nice UI, but it's okay.
I can see it just taking a little part of your soul.
I know. I'm just like, oh, it's gonna be good enough, I suppose.
So we could also use a VF and put a little icon in there. I mean, there's. Now the problem is now we have to deal with the null case. So we just say if it's is maybe put a VF on there and say if it's not null. Yeah.
Okay, there's that. And let's just do a color too.
You have to do the colors.
I know, I do have to do the colors. So this is actually interesting. This is correct because it's nullable. We'll start by showing wrong answer, which is why we kind of need this BF explicitly checking that it's null. Because null is a falsy state, but it shouldn't matter because we're just going to hide it.
So in this is the case, it doesn't matter. So if it's correct, we can do green, and if it's incorrect, we can do.
Yes, and we can use those beautified colors.
Great.
Okay,
let's see what happens.
See if that worked. Oh, that is very hard.
You cannot read that.
That's very hard to
read. So there's a contrast issue. Let's
make this variant solid, I think, or it's one of these. I forget. There you go. You know, it's not pretty, but it's
great. Working. We can put a little border around that. It's going to make me twitch a little bit, but
you don't like this.
As nice as it is.
Yeah, it's going to give me like a seizure. Yeah. Okay, well, there's that.
We got it. I mean, that's essentially it. So now we've kind of passed this minimal API. It's only the stuff you need to satisfy this particular client. We could have added the category as a text field, but hey, we'll leave that as an exercise to the student.
Yes.
So anyway, anything else, Meg?
No, I am gonna clean this UI up a little bit offline though.
You just can't help yourself. That's awesome. Hey, make great UIs. So until next time, keep building awesome Coalesce apps.
Thanks all.